Live from the 16 room in Alumni Hall, it's Touch 'em All Sports Radio. I'm Justin Franklin. Across the table from Ethan Payne. It is the day after the Pro Bowl. Ethan, did you watch the Pro Bowl? Oh, first off, where are my manners? Welcome to Touch 'em All Sports Radio. It's our third episode, and I'm having a great time. Let's talk about the Pro Bowl. Ethan, did you watch the Pro Bowl yesterday?
I caught a little bit of it, but honestly, I was more enjoying myself watching the 7-on-7 football game going on before the game, if we're being completely honest.
If you didn't watch the Pro Bowl, the NFC blew a 20-3 lead to the AFC. Ended up losing 23-24. If you're not familiar with the Pro Bowl, it's the NFL's postseason All-Star game. Voted in by the fans, rather. The most deserving players throughout the year. I watched a little bit of it. I'm bored with the Pro Bowl. It's just not. It's not what it used to be, or if it ever was. Really, I feel like since it's at the end of the year, a lot of people just don't really care. Something special at halftime. The NFL in the city of Orlando recognized the University of Central Florida Knights, or Golden Knights, as national champions at the halftime of the Pro Bowl. Ethan, I feel like you're pretty passionate about this subject.
Yeah, I disagree wholeheartedly. I don't think there should be such thing as a participation trophy. There's a reason they did not make it into the Final Four. They didn't play anybody to make them deserve to be there. No one wanted them in the Final Four because they played a bunch of nobodies. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they played number 20 Memphis, but you look at it, still that's not a 10 years ago, where was that Memphis program? 10 years from now, where's that program going to be? Yeah, look at the teams that are in there now. That made the Final Four.
Even a year ago, where was UCF?
Exactly.
Or 2 years.
No, 2 years ago, they didn't win a game.
Yeah.
And you go look at why would they want to be there? They scheduled a game against Georgia Tech. If you beat Georgia Tech, that's a quality team. That's a hard triple threat. What happened to the game? It got canceled. They didn't play it again. They made up the Memphis game. Why didn't they make up Georgia Tech game?
Conference. It's a conference game. Memphis is beat Memphis twice, and then ultimately they beat them in their conference championship.
And yeah, they went out there and they beat an Auburn team, but it was an Auburn team. Yes, they beat Alabama, they beat Georgia, who both teams played for the national championship. But you look at it, that was an Auburn team with nothing to prove. They're playing for a bowl game that didn't mean anything because it's not in the playoffs. And with the whole new playoff system, I feel like bowl games have almost no meaning if you're not in the top two bowls.
Yeah.
And you also look at it as that was a team with a few starters and out due to injury or out because they want to not get injured in a game that means nothing.
Did you talk about Auburn?
Yes, yeah, Auburn.
Well, and the argument is being made that UCF did something that neither Georgia or Alabama could do, and that was beat a healthy Auburn team. Auburn did have some time for everybody to get back from injury for the Peach Bowl, but they ended up ultimately losing to UCF. And I agree. I think you're right.
That's not a game anyone should lose right there. And if you're one of those programs that's like it's been there for a long time, it's always successful.
Yeah.
And you also go look at it as they played them at a neutral site, which that's still a loss to UCF. Is a loss to UCF, yeah. But it's not the same as playing them at Jordan Hare and seeing how that game goes.
Well, you can make the same argument for Georgia too.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Georgia couldn't beat Auburn at home; had to beat them at a neutral site.
One thing I would like to point to, they're out here claiming their national championship because they didn't lose a game all season. They were undefeated. Mm-hmm. Look back to Week 14 of the 2009 NCAA season. Do you know how many undefeated teams there were that season, Justin?
I'm not exactly sure, but I would guess a few.
There were 5. And of the top 6 teams, there were 5 undefeated teams and one one-loss team. The undefeated teams were Alabama, Texas, TCU, Cincinnati, and Boise State. And Florida was ranked number 5, and they were 12-1. So, of all of those undefeated teams, how many of them do you hear winning a national championship because they claimed it? Because I don't remember any of them. Some of them got shafted. They didn't go to the BCS National Championship. But you can't have 5 teams in a national championship game. You can have 2. So those guys accepted.
Okay, but when you're talking you said Week 14.
Week 14. Week 15, the final, there were still 2 undefeated teams. The others all took a loss.
Okay.
Alabama and Boise State were the only undefeated teams at the end of the season. But as of Week 14, to go into the voting for the national championship game, there were 5 undefeated teams.
Well, Boise State, I don't know. Boise State's still a team that people know about. And UCF going into this, you didn't really know anything about UCF. You knew that they were bad. You knew they were bad. And now everybody knows who UCF is.
Yeah.
And I think that their athletic director, his name slips me, but I think he did it as a PR stunt. Just to get their name out there. And he did a pretty good job at that.
Yeah, because you can't find someone out there that watches football, keeps up football in any way that doesn't know who UCF is now. They did a fantastic job of getting their name out there. Probably getting actually from what if the information I read is correct, I think I saw on some social media sites, probably Twitter or something. But I saw that their recruiting ranking was 82nd. Now don't quote me on that because that could be wrong, but 82nd is where they were in national recruiting rankings. I could be wrong. That's where I read somewhere.
That's where they are before they claim the national championship?
I believe that's where they are after.
After they claimed the national championship, and at first it was funny. It was like, oh, okay, that's funny. You're the national champions. And then they kept going with it. They had a parade at Disney World, and then they kept pushing it, and they got recognized at halftime of the NFL Pro Bowl. Or was it halftime or halftime?
I believe it was halftime.
Halftime, and they're making T-shirts and merchandise that says national champions.
I was mistaken. Okay. They are 55th currently.
55th. That's a big
as of 247 Sports. So that's still, that's not very good for a team that wants to claim a national championship.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. It's just I still can't get over it. The fact that they did the job that they wanted to do. They wanted to get their names in people's mouths, and they wanted to get their brand in people's heads, and that's exactly what they've done. It's been 3 weeks since college football's ended, and we're still talking about them.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job of getting their name out there, but I still don't agree with the whole idea of a participation trophy. If that's what if they're not doing it for a PR stunt, which some of them probably are, but there's others, probably members of the team that think, oh yeah, we actually won this. We won a national championship, and there's nothing you can take from me. But they didn't win anything, is what I'm looking at it from.
They can call themselves national. I guess you call them national champions, but they did not win a national championship.
There was not a team that beat them. They went out and they won every single game on their schedule.
Which is
fair. Kudos to them. That's a hard topic. That's a hard thing to do.
No one's done that in a long time. Or in recent memory.
Anyone who's not Alabama.
Anybody who's not Alabama. It's. I don't know. It's sticky. It's tricky. I still think that next year that they'll get a lot of press next year, and there's gonna be chips on their shoulders, which is not good timing as the departure of Scott Frost. The guy that got them where they are, Scott Frost, he's gone. If you lose one game next year, and then people are gonna dog you all year, simply because of how you've acted this postseason. Moving on. Ethan, something you're pretty passionate about. The XFL has made its return, and that's going to lead us into our Hot Take Showdown already here on this beautiful Monday in Rome, Georgia. Ethan, let's hear your hot takes, man.
All right, first off, I'd like to start, and I think that the XFL, the new Extreme Football League, is going to be a great success. Vince McMahon tried it in early 2000s, whatever the year was.
2001. Introduced it in 1999. First and only season was in 2001.
Yeah, and it came out. The first game, I had a bunch of publicity. There's a lot of people watching, and then as the season came along, it started downward spiral, and they quit playing. They quit watching it, and the league shut down. Yeah. And there's a lot of this due to lack of viewership and overpaying certain players, and it did not turn out to be as great of a success as I believe it could be. But right now, I believe is perfect timing for an XFL, Extreme Football League, to come out. Due to lack of viewership towards the NFL, people angry at the NFL for political reasons, and I feel like this is a great opportunity for the XFL. They come out and make their own brand name, have people watch them, and not have any politics. It's just football. People are just watching football.
A little backstory on the XFL rather. Like I said, it started in 2001. It was a partnership with the what is now the WWE, which is professional wrestling, and it's got WWE has a real bad reputation for being fake, being staged, and I think that's what a lot of people thought this was.
Yeah, they went into thinking it was going to be a bunch of staged off-field antics, see what happens.
Yeah.
Didn't think it was going to be real football.
Yeah, and I mean, they initially got a lot of ratings, and then they just nosedived. It was terrible. But I think you look at guys like Jared Lorenzen, the plus-size quarterback from Kentucky. He would be a good fit in the XFL.
People would love to watch him.
Tim
Tebow would be a great option. Honestly, I'd really like to watch Johnny Manziel, but he is unfortunately
ineligible for reasons we're not allowed to talk about. So, excuse me. Rather, moving on to your second hot take.
All right, for my second hot take, I believe the Falcons miss the playoffs next season.
That's bold.
All right, listen to me here. They have an offensive coordinator that none of the fans like. He's making bad decisions, and that's going to continue. We'll see how that goes. Julio in the playoffs this season was not very good. He didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. Teams have finally learned to key in on him. So if they do that in the regular season, he's more or less one of their only passing options. How's that going to help Matt Ryan? One more reason. Matt Ryan isn't getting any younger. He's aging every day. His mobility in the pocket is going to be decreasing. Yep. He's getting older. He's aging. He's not going to be as good of a quarterback in years past due to that.
And that brings me to this, Ethan. It's time to read our first on-air tweet with our hashtag Hot Tea Take. If you haven't before, we've got our own hashtag Hot Tea TEA Take, and TEA stand for Touch 'Em All. This tweet comes from Presley Franklin. It says, Steve Sarkisian does not deserve a second year to prove himself on the Falcons. Once again, we get shown a college-style offense does not work in the NFL. The man doesn't even deserve a severance package. And I agree. I agree to an extent. It's his first year. And coming off of this Super Bowl high, it's you got a lot of expectations because you just come off of this Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan leaves. And then you bring in Steve Sarkisian, who was the offensive coordinator for Alabama in their national championship, which they lost in the last minutes to Clemson.
He also got caught eating a booger on camera.
He did. Not as proudest moment. Give him a chance. And I'll be honest, I'm a Falcons fan, and I was not happy with what I saw. A lot of dumb play calling. But the Falcons receiving core is so talented with guys like Taylor Gabriel, Mohamed Sanu, and Julio Jones. And even if you are double teaming Julio Jones, that means that someone else is open in retrospect. So I think looking way too far ahead, I think that the Falcons do make the playoffs because Matt Ryan's getting time to adjust to Steve Sarkisian. Like we said in our first show, Matt Ryan's he's had a lot of offensive coordinators over him, and he's got so many offenses in his head, and it's hard for him to adjust to a new one. And I think he's got this second year, and it's time for him he's got time to adjust to it. And that's what it's all about. And I think that the Falcons make a push for the Super Bowl in their home stadium. We'll move on to your third one.
All right, my third one is a very, very bold hot take. I believe that neither of the teams that made the World Series this year make it again next year. And now hear me out on this one. All right, they played a fantastic World Series. I loved watching every second of it. They played one of the games that might go down as the greatest World Series game of all time. It was an amazing game with so many home runs. It's what the fans wanted to see in a baseball game.
Right.
But look at it this way. The Dodgers, they're a fantastic team. The Astros are a fantastic team. The Dodgers have an amazing pitching staff. The Astros have an amazing hitting lineup.
Yep.
But look at it. There are other teams out there. The MLB is not becoming a league with a couple superstars. There are superstars on every team right now.
Yep.
Look at the Indians. They tell me they don't have opportunity to make it.
They just lost Santana to the Phillies.
Yeah, so, they did. That's tough. But you tell me, look at their lineup and tell me you don't think they can make a World Series.
They can make a push, right? Respectively.
The Angels, they have a great lineup. They just got Ohtani now. That's another team with an opportunity. You got the Nationals. You got all kinds of teams out there that can make a fantastic push. So I don't think either team makes it again next year, even with all the superstars on their rosters.
That's that take is on fire. That's a very hot take. You look at the Dodgers. If Yu Darvish does return, they've got that multi-headed monster
Absolutely.
in their pitching staff. That's
having
intimidating.
Kershaw alone is as good as he.
Yeah, Kershaw, Darvish.
Maybe not playoff Kershaw, but regular season Kershaw is insane.
Yeah, he was all right, but I don't know. The Astros are still loaded.
And they're still young for the most part.
They're still young, and they've got a pretty good manager, and I think if you want to get down to the nitty gritty, I think that it comes to a manager, someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, because if you let your players get hurt during the regular season, they're out for a while because you didn't let them sit out due to injury time, whatever, fatigue, then that's going to hurt your chances.
And it just, decisions, like when to bring in a certain reliever, when to bring in, different guys to do their stuff, and just common decisions about the game is managers. That's what it'll come down to. With such
It's also a great reason why the Braves are not in this conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But it'll come to, cause with such a talent-filled MLB right now, and I agree that there's a lot of talent in the MLB. It'll come down to who can manage a ball club better, or and I get why you say that is because in 2016 none of the teams made it back, Cleveland nor Chicago.
Chicago's another fantastic team with great roster.
Great roster, great manager. They just got outpitched in the NLCS. That's a bold take. Overall, I do disagree. I think I disagree. The Dodgers are a good team, and the Astros are a good team. I don't know. I think I disagree. I don't know really where I stand right now, which is not good. Which is not good. I can't wait for MLB, for the baseball season to start.
Well,
I went to Chop Fest over the weekend. That was at SunTrust Park. That was some of the most fun I've ever had. I think I'm more excited now for Major League Baseball than I have ever been in my entire life. And the Braves they're going to be middle of the pack.
hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, they're not terrible.
I wish they'd go out and get a very solid pitcher.
I talk about that in my hot takes, which I guess it's time for me to move on to my hot takes. But I just want to point out, if you haven't already, the Braves introduced their new mascot. How appropriate that we go from a mascot named Homer to a mascot named Blooper. The mascot's name is Blooper. If you haven't seen him, look him up. I